Music to the noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Gun Kelly get caught in the fake. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor pulls the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows, protect the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Steve Fun Kelly with the set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Good
So,
morning.
How's it going?
It's already been a morning.
It's like I almost want to put a U in the word morning here.
Yeah, right.
I am mourning for our country, Nahan.
I am too.
Um,
Ours
yes-
and others.
Yesterday really kind of sent me over the edge with the whole just like full on embracing of ethnic cleansing.
Yeah.
Is like, where the hell are we at? Like, how did we get to this point? And I mean, it's like by like one step at a time, but there's no there. And what's like so irritating is, like, I was watching, I watched news. I was like so mad. I was like, okay, I'm actually going to watch the news for the first time since the election.
Why the hell would you do that?
I turned on NBC, and then they called it Trump's saber rattling.
Yeah.
You know,
They're whitewashing it all, though.
It's all right. I mean, like, come on. And then it's
Yeah.
like, you're if you say, okay, you're a Nazi, if you tell a Trump supporter they're a Nazi, and they're like, oh, you guys always abuse that word. And it's like, okay, wait, you're for ethnic cleansing. Trump is like literally quoting Hitler about, what the poisoning the blood of the country.
Right.
And DEI has become a code word for minorities are bad. They're taking over the entire federal government, the entire apparatus of the government, to where democracy won't matter anymore. They're it's building concentration camps.
Yep.
You're talking about taking away birthright citizenship. They're talking about deporting Americans into like foreign prisons. Like, at what point do you just say, no, that's an actual Nazi now? Where we are Nazis. Like, that is, all of this is from Hitler's playbook.
Yeah. I mean, what do they want a new name? Do they just we don't need to give them a new name, because they are to a T by point, just like the Nazis. I don't see a difference. I really don't. Other than, we're in America, and the Germans have figured out that wasn't the route to take. And now, however, AFD is another topic of discussion. Yeah. But yeah, I don't
full-fledged Nazi salutes.
Yeah, right. Don't forget about the salute. Insanity
of the government to the guy that did the Nazi salute.
Yeah, totally taking over everything, and the only option of solace we are provided by Trump and his administration is that if Trump doesn't say he can do it, then he won't let Elon do it. I'm sorry, but I don't trust that man as far as I can throw him, and that's not very far at all. I don't think I'd even want to touch him to be able to throw him. So, I don't for a minute believe that they're pulling in the reins on Elon and what he's doing. Not for a second. The
only consolation anywhere that I might be able to find is that at some point, like, it's like what is like the movie Three Body Problem or the TV series, right? Where you got the gravitational pull from the different
Yeah. Yep, I watched that.
planets,
Hmm.
right? So at some point, there's only so much gravity. Like it's the ego of Trump and Musk. There's only so much, gravity or whatever that both can take before they become destructive to one another. Um,
Right.
so
Yeah.
like the world is just not big enough for both of those egos.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how long that's gonna last. Everybody's like, "Oh, the honeymoon phase is over." When he was in Mar-a-Lago, and people were cracking jokes about, when is he gonna leave? I don't know. I don't think I'm curious to see what that's going to look like, because they're both such like power hungry, attention hungry individuals. So like
Mhm.
neither of them, I don't think either of them will be willing to budge. But like I feel like it's gonna be an interesting spectacle to see, like where does the caving occur? Is it within his administration? People that are like that also don't like Musk, that are going to be the ones to oust him. And then is Elon going to go out on a tyrant against Trump and like do a 180 if they kick him out? I don't know what the future looks like for that, but I mean, that's one thing I can look forward to, because it's bound to happen for sure.
Right. There's only I just anyway.
Yeah.
It is a remarkable thing to watch, and like when he anyway. How about before we start getting our head of ourselves,
Yeah.
you have put together a list of the crazy from yesterday, and we're just going to go through some of these things.
Yes.
So I
From
think I
this
like this
morning and
format.
today. You like
What's
what?
I like this format. I like the idea
Yeah.
of just going through the previous day's insanity.
Yeah, and some of this is also from this morning. But there's enough from yesterday to talk about that we didn't get to cover yesterday as well. So, but yeah, before we get into our first topic, just so you guys know, as we always say, if you're watching on Twitter, or of course on Facebook now as well, please feel free to join us on YouTube. It helps with our numbers for us to be able to grow on our show. You also, Kelly put in the chat on YouTube and on Facebook the link to call in. If you guys wanted to join in on the conversation, feel free to click on that link. You can join on audio or video both. You don't have to turn your video on, but if you want to jump on the call with us, you are welcome to do that and join the conversation. And then, of course, follow us on Blue Sky. We also started a Discord channel yesterday, which was exciting. There's still a little bit of stuff we're going to be making adjustments to, but we did get it kind of fledged out to start with yesterday. So if you want to, Kelly, if you want to put that link in there too, and I'm sure we can put it in the show notes after the episode as well. So those are our, intro notes here. However, first things first. So we're talking about ethnic cleansing, and how just step by step we're getting closer and closer to, the erasure of, ethnicity, where people are coming from, cultural representation. Today there was I think it was today or yesterday, or I saw the news this morning, that there was a memo from the U.S. Corporate of Canada Cadets Directorate of Club Activities that has effective immediately all Directorate of Candidate Activities, also known as the DCA, all identity related clubs are disbanded at West Point. That includes Asian Pacific Forum Club, Contemporary Culture Affairs Seminar Club, National Society of Black Engineers Club, Latin Culture Club, Society of Women Engineers Club, Native American Heritage Club, and others. The only ones, it seems, that are still around after this memo, or approved after this memo has been sent out, are the Christian religious clubs are allowed to continue to meet and do their thing, which surprise, surprise, we're on this journey on our way to white nationalism across the country. So definitely not shocked by this. They've already gone ahead and deleted everything from their website. All those publications in the directory are removed. Digital archives page as well were available online as recently as last week, but they are now shut off. And this also, comes after the fact that the U.S. Army and Air Force shut down their DEI offices and programs and also removed some of that related media and training back on the 23rd of January. Wow, okay. I don't see this stuff has been around in the military, from what I understand, reading some people's comments on this who were in the military back in the 80s, the early 80s. This stuff was around then, and now it's gone. The West Point did not have any response to any of this when they've been reached out to. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Kelly?
I'm just flabbergasted. They're not just, to listen to the Trump administration and the MAGAs. You would think the only oppressed people in the history of the universe were white Christian straight males. Somehow they feel like it's racist for marginalized people to fight for their own rights. And somehow, it is taking away the white people's rights, or white men's rights, if black people, like black engineers, just have a club at West Point. It is the most self-victimizing bullshit I've ever heard. I've been thinking about this. I was going to bed last night and I was just thinking, I know people that are going to be 100% endorsing this. Yeah. That if I told them 10 years ago, you're going to be celebrating that there's no more black engineers club at West Point, Yeah, if I had told them that, they would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
But here they are. How did we get I know it's a combination of Fox News and
the culture wars,
and culture wars and stuff, but it's just I don't know, it hurts. It hurts my head, it hurts my heart that people that I actually know and cared for, people I genuinely loved and respected, are now just Nazis.
Yeah.
And I feel like we should be feeling like that word is hyperbolic, but at what point is it not hyperbole anymore to just call somebody a Nazi? And when you start stepping into embracing ethnic cleansing, you're a Nazi. There's just no other way to put it.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah.
I don't
get.
Why is identity politics bad?
I don't know. Well, because they feel like it's they all subscribe to the replacement theory, right? They all think white men are being replaced. White people will become the minority. I mean, honestly, when you look at the direction that the world is going, that's probably accurate, right? That is accurate. That there is a melting pot of races and ethnicities over the last 100 or so years, where white men aren't the majority anymore because they're not. We don't have kings and a ruling class like that anymore. We are a modernized society. I don't see what the problem is, right? I don't understand what's wrong with that. What's wrong with that?
We are not. We have never been the majority of the population.
No, right? Exactly.
There's they're India and China. Between the two of them, they have over half the population of the world. Last time I checked, they weren't Caucasian.
Right, right, right.
You know,
Exactly. I don't know. Well, I think. Well, hold on. Isn't technically Caucasian from an area in the Middle East? Isn't that correct? From what I understand,
I think it's from Europe. However we define it now, I don't know.
yeah. Either way. The thing about their problem is, again, it's a fear tactic, right? It's a culture war. It's a how dare they do that to us? Because white men are afraid of being like I said, replaced. They're afraid of being replaced. And what's been happening is, they've gotten away with being mediocre in society, and that passing as above average, when in reality it hasn't, which again is why they're so afraid of things like DEI, because it shows that they've only been getting those jobs because they are white, right? So not because this merit-based bullshit that they keep talking about.
How can you be talking about I was, I don't know if you saw my Substack from yesterday, but
I saw. I didn't get to read all of it, but I saw what you.
But the Biden's Secretary of Health and Human Services was he was also just a lawyer. He didn't have any medical training either, and but he was in Congress for 20 years, where he helped write the Affordable Care Act and some things like that. So at least he had some involvement in healthcare and the
legislation.
Government. But the only senator that voted, the only Republican senator that voted for his confirmation is Susan Collins. Every other Republican senator voted against him because he wasn't qualified. He didn't have the medical credentials, right?
Right.
And every single one of them that is still in the Senate is now willing to vote for RFK Jr., even though RFK Jr. is even less qualified than Berea was. You know what their difference was?
What?
Is Berea is Latin American.
Oh goodness.
He's a Latino, He's
so
it is what made him a DEI hire is not his lack of qualifications, but it is his excess of skin pigment.
Right.
And they go through, and now they're identifying DEI hires, and they're rooting out the DEI hires. How do they identify those? I really wonder.
Well, they're wanting to do these self-reports from their leadership, from people in leadership roles, where they're saying, hey, we want you to send us a list of all of your employees and everybody who, like, any of their hiring paperwork, any of their qualifications.
But how do they distinguish what makes somebody a DEI hire versus just a hire?
If you're colorblind, right? If you're colorblind, what does cause for them to be a DEI
How
hire?
many white people were it's like DE hire, isn't that just code word for anybody that wasn't a white male?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, I will say too, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this before on a different episode, but white women have benefited almost more than any other people that are intended to benefit from DEI. So, I think it's going to be funny when there's a bunch of white women who can't get jobs that they're qualified for, right? Because those practices are no longer occurring where they're being considered for those roles.
And there's actually a lot of white women in the federal government right now who are being flagged as DEI hires that are wondering why the leopard they voted for is eating their face.
Yeah, right. What, me, a DEI hire? When there's got to be. I'm gonna make a meme later, probably, of a white woman's face when she realizes that she was a DEI hire. Like.
Can that face be like half eaten by a leopard or something like that?
Yeah, right. What? And that taking that into consideration too, I wonder how much of a difference that is going to make. Do you think that they're going to try to explain that away because of, they don't like that's the reality and that's factual? They're going to spin it to fit their own narrative about the fact that they're, also DEI hires, whatever that means to them. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know what the workforce is going to look like here coming up soon is white as fuck.
Well,
that I can be certain of.
Like they want to go back to when only white males had good jobs.
Yeah.
Exactly. They want to go back to Ozzie and Harriet.
Yeah.
In some ways. In other ways, apparently, they want to go back to the Industrial Revolution, where, rich people didn't have to pay taxes either.
Rich people don't have to pay taxes. Kids can work.
Yeah.
We're gonna go work in the fields now. That's another thing too. I'm gonna be shocked. Well, I say that facetiously when the right tries to spin the fact that groceries aren't going to go down. We're not going to be able to afford or even purchase certain products, produce, what have you, because of a lot of these changes that they're making. I'm excited to see how they're going to spin that. But again, like this erasure of racial and ethnic identity. This is like the beginning of I think like our version of what happened in Nazi Germany. Like this is, I mean, now it's going into the military, right? And I saw another news article yesterday that was talking about an increase, an influx, or a blitz of people applying to the military after some of these executive orders and changes to their practices have occurred. And I'm telling you right now, it is a bunch of Nazi white guys that are like, hell yeah, I feel this is a safe space for me now. Yeah. They're literally, it's an open invitation for Nick Fuentes of the world, of Charlie Kirk's of the world, of Ben Shapiro types of the world, and Andrew Tate's of the world. That was all these things, all these executive orders, all these changes that they're making to the military is literally an open invitation saying, hey, you guys, we've been missing out on you. We're going to welcome you with open arms. Come right in. This is a safe space for you. And
on this, I was in the military from 1989 to from 1986 to 1990, and joined in March of 86. So Reagan was still president. And there was can't remember what they called it, but there was a kind of an awareness of racial discrimination and conscientious efforts made by the military to annul those things. And when I was in basic training, there was this guy, this total redneck. He would totally be a MAGA if he were around today. I mean, he might still be around. I don't know. But when you're in basic training, you have your locker, right? And you got to keep your uniform and everything, and they inspect it, and it's got to be kept a certain way. And then you have this one little like personal little locker that's like a drawer beneath it, and you have a key for it, and you have to keep that locked. And that part they couldn't inspect. You could keep whatever you wanted in there, and unless they thought there was contraband of some sort, then it was locked, and they couldn't ask you to unlock it. If you left it unlocked, though, it was fair game. And so this redneck guy left his locker unlocked, and they opened it up, and they found these letters he was writing back and forth to his family, where he was complaining about how he had to sleep with a Negro, but he did not say Negro. Like he had a bunkmate with a Negro, and there are all these Negroes here, and blah blah blah, and just filled with all this racist crap. So they had what we called the snake pit, which is where all the training instructors would sit, right? And you were scared as hell of walking past the snake pit, because if you caught their attention, You were just in for a very miserable time. Anyway, they called this guy. They called him over there, and they made him read the letter out loud for everybody to listen to. And then he spent the next 2 weeks cleaning all the bird shit off the parade grounds, and while he waited for his discharge. And that's the way they should treat racism in the Air Force or in the military.
In military, yeah.
Now they're embracing racism and they're rejecting opposition to it. Like,
Yeah.
Like the Tuskegee Airmen, like they talk about merit, we need it to be merit based, right? But to them, merit just means lack of pigment.
Right. Right. Yeah, I would say that the qualifications now to join the military are to succumb or agree with the white nationalist racist rhetoric. But the reason why that they're doing this.
Hey, Nahan, I just want to pause for a second. We have a very special listener right now.
Look who it is.
Mrs. Pun is watching. Hi, Mrs. Pun.
Hi. Love it. But yeah, so the reason why that they're doing this, there is a master plan here, right? For them to be able to make these changes and get these type of people to sign up. These are the people that are going to be loyal to Trump. These are the people that aren't going to question, directives from their leadership. Where because what did Project 2025 say? They would like to do domestic deployment of the military.
Yes.
That is something.
Yeah. And having a Secretary of Defense that would not commit to not ordering military to shoot civilian protesters.
Right, exactly. So the people he has in those roles that were supposed to keep him in check the last time, the people he has in those roles this time are more than willing to, follow suit and follow orders of what Trump is looking to do.
I respect your pun game there, Jeremy. That's a good one.
Nice. But no, he back in 2022, he said that he wanted to send the National Guard or the troops to conduct law enforcement activities on the U.S. soil. And then even further from that, in 2023, he said that he would deploy the military in major U.S. cities to combat crime, saying that, next time I'm not waiting. We don't have to wait any longer. And he's proposed just deploying the military to fight the enemy from within. So that's anybody who he defines as lunatic.
Like the enemy from within that's like anybody that's just political opposition. That's the other party. That's
anybody he defines as a lunatic is what he says. And on the left. Exactly.
Anybody that didn't vote for him is the enemy and deserves to be shot.
Yeah. Yeah, so those type of people that are coming to and signing up to join the military in droves, are the type of individual that they want in the military.
Yes,
because that's who they want to be. Those are going to be the yes men of the force, and so
ordering the military to shoot on civilians isn't going to be effective unless the military actually shoots the civilians. Which, by the way, if you are in the military, and when I was in basic training, there was a whole week of classes on this where you actually had to learn the case law and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if it's still the case, but it was like really, it's drilled into us. You cannot, like, it is unlawful to obey an unlawful
an illegal order. Right? Yeah, exactly. It is
people that had actually done these things and killed civilians and stuff like that in other countries were like we had to learn the case law and we were tested on. I mean, it was really, really drilled into us. So they know this. If you're in the military, you know this. You cannot obey an unlawful order. So
I believe there's a Article 90 of the USMJ is the charge of willfully disobeying a superior commissioned officer. And Article 92 talks about failure to obey an order. Say that both of those articles within the rules say that they only apply to lawful orders.
Yeah.
So, keep that in mind.
UCMJ.
Yeah, UCMJ. Yeah. So again, that's what they're doing. So, okay, when he was sworn into office this time, he signed that executive order declaring national emergency down at the border, and then instructed the Department of Defense to deploy troops down there. So that's the start, right? So like, get them down there, but we're going to keep them on this side of the border, right? And then it's going to slowly progress into, okay, well, here's another national emergency that I'm going to declare. Like, let's say he wants to declare a national emergency in California because, state officials aren't willing to comply with him releasing the waters to places that don't even go to LA. And now, waters that are going to, cause harm to farmers during the summertime. They're not following these directives from the president. So he's going to file or claim that there's a national emergency in California. And then he's going to send, instruct the Department of Defense to send and deploy troops to that area.
I don't even think it's that complicated, though, Nahan. I think what's going to happen is that there's going to be protests in DC about.
Oh yeah,
and that will be his testing ground for shooting civilians.
Yeah, and he's also going to use the Insurrection Act as well, which is just so funny to me. Like, so that's
and remember, Project 2025 is not like a 4-year plan. It's Project 2025. It's not Project 2025 and 2026. The entire thing is supposed to be executed within 6 months.
This year. Yeah, this year. Exactly. Yeah, they're right on schedule too. It's not
ahead of schedule.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're not behind on it in any regard. But yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, they're going to start seeing protests in Washington, D.C. They're also going to, if they do invoke the Insurrection Act, that's going to allow for not just releasing, military to stop a protest. They're going to just start patrolling then. That's going to be like the next step is, okay, well, there was a protest, but now to keep the peace, we're going to stick around and we're going to patrol these communities. And then from there, they're going to do some large scale immigration raids. They're going to, and by the way, I'm sure you probably saw this as well. And some of our viewers did too. This is also part of one of our later topics, which we could get into now as well, because it kind of, it's a good segue. Trump wants to send criminals that aren't immigrants to Guantanamo Bay, wants to send criminals that are Americans to other countries. So that's the whole, I didn't worry about them because it had nothing to do with me. Well, guess what? If they're coming for you too, okay?
Yeah. This is where you get into the first they came for the social.
Yes. Exactly.
Then they can't, it's like, do you really think this was just a poem?
Yeah.
It was actual history,
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're coming for the transgender people. They're coming for the gays. They're coming for the socialists. They're coming for the liberals. They're coming for the Democrats. They're coming for the blacks. They're coming for the Hispanics. They're coming for the, the Asians. And they're pretty much coming for the women. Like anybody that feels like they have rights other than white men.
Yeah.
White cisgender straight men, I should say.
Yeah. Which, what they consider that whole collective, that list plus more, they consider that the enemy from within, right?
Yes.
We are the enemy from within. And the ambiguity of that though is intentional, right?
Yes.
It's not, they're not listing it out like we just did. The enemy from within is a blanket, phrase and term, because they can pick and choose who they want to, maybe, they're going to say Republicans in names only are now the enemy from within. If you don't bow, to your knee, bow down to Trump and take the knee, then you're also a part of that blanket.
And they'll go, foreign and domestic, as though they're making some principled point. Like, but okay. Like disagreeing with you does not make me a domestic enemy. Your coup of the federal government makes you a domestic enemy. Elon Musk is the enemy.
Yes.
Donald Trump
Right.
is the enemy.
Yeah, it's funny that they call us the enemy from within when they literally are within the government and the enemy of all these other people. It's you know, it's a pot calling the kettle black type deal, or you know, every accusation is a what's the phrase?
Every accusation is
A confession. Yeah, exactly. So, but you know, this is going to be easy for them to do because, like we said last time, they had people in there that that held Trump in check, kept him in line. But this time, you know, his deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, said that the administration plans to use military funds to build massive holding facilities, which, you know, again, are getting people. They just sent
the link, like I was mentioning yesterday, the whatever Lincoln Riley or whatever her name is, that act allows for 110,000 new beds of undocumented, you know, of illegal immigrants.
Right. Yeah.
That's about the same number as Japanese that were interned during World War II. So.
Yeah, but yeah, so, you know, Stephen Miller, he's got Pete Hegseth have said he's, you know, repeatedly supported military deployment to disrupt political protests. You know, and that is some scary shit, right? That is terrifying. But again, like, who wasn't prepared for this to be the next steps in his, or the, you know, the first parts of his administration? I know I was. I know that you know, I wasn't lying to myself about the fact that this was definitely a possibility. It was not about a if, it was about a when, right? It was about when was that going to happen.
I hate it, Jeremy. I hate it when people use illegal as a noun. Illegal is an adjective, and it's like, you know, it is not a noun. If you anybody, like, I'm totally with you. I hate it when people refer to other people as illegal.
And it doesn't either, by the way. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I did a little bit of research on it because I remember I asked you if it was what class misdemeanor it was. But so the crossing of the border is as illegal as driving without your license or getting a speeding ticket, right? You have to pay a fine, but you're not considered an illegal driver because you didn't bring your license with you or you forgot to have your insurance on you. You're still going to get ticketed, but you're not considered an illegal person, right? It's just, you know, it's an infraction. It's an infraction on the law. It's not that you're like breaking the law or it's so illegal that, you know, it changes the type of person that you are, right? Because it's insane. It's insane.
And it's the other, you know, and then it's like, if you come over here and you declare, and you request asylum, even if you entered illegally, you are no longer here illegally. You're here with the permission of the government. And the law even says that if you can request asylum, regardless of legal stat or of alien legal status, is what the actual law, that's the quote from the law, is that your legal status as an alien is irrelevant to whether or not you can request asylum. Because, and they're like, oh, they should do it the right way, like our ancestors did. And it's like, they came over the exact same way your ancestors did. They came over the exact same way. The only thing that's different is the law changed, not the way they came over.
Right. And again, just to reiterate on that, they'll do it the right way. They just took away the right way to do it. Right? They got rid of the opportunity to do things the right way. You know, they don't want it to happen at all.
And even with Trump now, with the like some of the immigrants from Argentina, and the Haitians, and I think Argentina and Haitian, the dog and cat eaters.
Oh, the Haitian, yeah. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the pets. The people that live there.
But the Haitians and I think it's the Argentinians. There's two, or is it Venezuela?
Well, there's Venezuelans that are protected too, and there's some
Venezuelans and the Haitians. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
he actually has revoked their legal status, so they came over here legally, but now they're not here legally, but not because they came here legally. Or illegally, like they came here legally, and then they just changed what is legal. Now they're the bad guys. Like now they're going to, you know, like it's like, okay, you you can't blame them for Trump revoking their legal status.
Right. Well, they are though, because so there was some Venezuelan Americans that denounced Trump yesterday, and South Florida Republicans for breaking promises. And again, the leopards eating the face. They're like, they used us. They told us that they weren't going to, come for us, and they did. And it's like, I just listen. I have empathy for anybody who's getting deported and who is, who should be allowed to be here and that are seeking asylum and what have you. But I find it really difficult to, I don't know, the tears aren't there for me when they're saying, hey, I voted for Trump and now he wants to deport me, or, hey, my wife has been deported, and I voted for him. Family members and friends are just, being disappeared. But they were singing Latinos for Trump. I find it really difficult to find that in my heart to say, oh, that really sucks. Like, yeah, it sucks, but you asked for that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know how much more loudly we could have said it to say, hey, he's not telling the truth. He's going to come for you, regardless of what he says. He's doing this because all he wants is your vote. He just wants to win, and he's going to do exactly what we're telling you he's going to do. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Right. And so I feel for anybody that's getting deported and the what the administration is doing, but the people that voted for him, I'm just like,
many of these Latinos for Trump are children of illegal immigrants who are born here and are, they have their citizenship by birthright citizenship, which Trump is trying to revoke. How many people voted for him? Is he going to take away trying to take away their
all of them? All of them. That is all of them. I mean, again, I just I don't feel sorry. I feel empathy for the situation in a broad sense of the way, because, people that didn't vote for him are also getting deported. So I feel for them, but the sympathy there is lacking for these people who voted for Trump. They're like, oh, he's not coming for us. And then, like, immediately as he signs these executive orders, hours into, sworn in to office, they're like, what? We didn't know that he was going to do that to us. So
well, he said he didn't have anything to do with Project 2025. So, I mean, he wouldn't be lying about that, would he?
No, what? No, he's not trying to get Russell Vought, who is a author of the project itself from Heritage Foundation, to be in government. Not at all.
So while we're on people bemoaning their own choices, let's go on to the Gaza Strip thing.
Oh yeah, okay, let's do it. So let me pull up my article here. And if you want to share it, by the way, Kelly, I would share it on mine, but I'm only on my tiny, I don't have my big screen here. So if you want to share any of the articles, feel free to. Okay. But if I do it, it takes up my entire screen, and then I can't see anything because I'm just on my laptop right now. So in regards to the Gaza Strip, so a couple things actually. One is we're going to take over the Gaza Strip. It's going to be, we want it, apparently. We're going to take over the war-ravaged Gaza Strip and develop it and push all of the Palestinians out. That is the proposal from Trump when during his meeting with Netanyahu yesterday. He wants to make it the Riviera of the Middle East, which is insane. But again, do we expect anything other than insanity from this administration? Hell no, absolutely not. And it's funny too, because like Netanyahu was sitting there, he's just like, yeah, absolutely. That just sounds like a great idea. We definitely could envision building a resort there, where international communities could live in harmony after over 15 months of bombardment. That is insane to me. What? This is
So
just Trump Vegas 2.0.
this is the article, and I
Which one
mean,
do you got pulled up?
Trump says U.S. will take over Gaza Strip and level it. Trump once
Yeah.
again says Gaza is a demolition site that is very dangerous and precarious. How did it get to be very dangerous and precarious demolition site? You know, like he's sitting there talking about this, like, boy, this is just this really unfortunate thing that happened to Gaza, while he's sitting next to Bibi, the man that made it happen.
That did it.
You know,
Exactly.
like, and he says Palestinians in Gaza should be moved to a beautiful area with homes and safety so that they can live out their lives in peace and harmony. So whatever the, you know, whatever it's supposed, where they're supposed to be moved to is like Jordan or Saudi Arabia or whatever, but it's like so that they can live out their lives in peace and harmony, their lives in like their lives, the rest of their lives. This is, you know, some conservatives or Trump apologists are trying to make it sound like this is just a temporary thing. They're going to be temporarily relocated while the U.S. goes in out of the goodness of their heart, rebuilds everything, and then they can come back to their new beautiful homes and stay there. No.
No. No. Yeah,
This is a permanent relocation in the Jared Kushner condominium are gonna, you know, beachside front property or whatever in Gaza. That's all just gonna become Jared Kushner's new real estate.
Yeah, it's acting like this is some philanthropical opportunity for the United States to, you know, come in and fix the problem. No, that's like absolutely not what's going to happen. You know, he wants them to be moved to other places. He wants to rid Palestinians of the area overall. It's not oh yeah, well, let us come in. We'll like, you know, build things back up and then you guys can come back. That's absolutely not it. And that's not what he's saying. And people are going to try to push that narrative, and that's false. That is false.
I'm gonna read this one.
Yeah.
All right. So all right, so let's stop sharing that. Oops. And we're gonna share another screen here.
And just while you're pulling that up, just so you guys know, Netanyahu said yesterday that Trump is the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. Really? I mean,
yeah, well, you know, Bibi is a fascist too. So,
absolutely.
So ethnic cleansing. This is the ethnic cleansing entry in Wikipedia. Ethnic cleansing is the systemic forced removal of ethnic, racial, or religious groups from a given area with the intent of making the society ethnically homogenous. Along with the direct removal, such as deportation or population transfer, it also includes indirect methods aimed at forced migration by coercing the victim group to flee and preventing its return, such as murder, rape, and property destruction. How is that not an exact you know, like property destruction, right? How is that not exactly what Trump is proposing?
It's everything.
And it is
exactly what he's proposing.
A perfect description of what Trump is doing, right?
Yeah.
And so they get all sensitive when you say they're Nazis. When you think of Nazis, the first thing you think of is ethnic cleansing.
Yeah, that is the broader sense of what was happening during World War II.
You know, there's that is the evil of the Nazis. I mean, there's other stuff too, but like when you really get into it, this is the difference between just the ethnic cleansing and the final solution is a few years.
Yeah.
Like the final solution wasn't the initial solution. It was the final solution.
Right.
Right. And so it just took a few years for Hitler to get around to that. How long before they just start gassing Palestinians instead of relocating them?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to take as long this time around, though. If it's going to happen like in any way similar to what happened with the Germans and the Jewish population. I don't think it's going to take that long. We are, it's a bigger, better, brand new version of Nazis this time, right? They have more tools at their disposal. And also, we are a stronger nation than Germany was when it started doing what it was doing during the Holocaust and during World War II. We are the strongest nation in the world, right? There's a big difference between our capabilities now and what the Germans' capabilities were back during 1930s. So I think this is going to go a lot faster and move a lot quicker than it did before. I really do. You know, I mean, hell, it's what 2.5 weeks into his administration, and he's already sent people to Guantanamo Bay yesterday. He already sent immigrants to Guantanamo Bay yesterday. You know, and now we're talking again 2.5 weeks in, and we're talking about taking over the Gaza Strip and pushing out Palestinians.
Guantanamo Bay.
Sorry.
I feel like we should be saying Gitmo instead.
Gitmo, right? Yeah, because Gitmo is actually the prison, right? Yes. So he's sending them to Gitmo, which currently, right now, I think it only is able to house. It's under 1,000 people. I think it's actually quite a small number. So they're having to expand the amount of people that can be held there. But yeah, so but back on the Gaza thing. So Palestinians are saying no. Our homeland is our homeland. We're not going anywhere. Hamas says it's a recipe for chaos.
And Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt are saying we don't want them. And this is another irony to the whole thing, is when you place these two pictures next to each other. One, Donald Trump is asking Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia to take these displaced people that he is displacing. And on the other hand, he is refusing to take asylum seekers in the United States. It's like other countries need to take refugees, but we don't.
Right.
We're the wealthiest and most capable of taking care of other people.
Yeah, we're exempt from that. Yeah. But again, too, this is that whole talking out of both sides of his neck thing that Trump does. So he says, we can't take people, but you should. The whole thing about we don't want troops to go out and we don't want to fight other people's wars. So for example, they talk about, they have negative opinions about the Ukrainian war with Russia. However, yesterday Trump said that he would send U.S. troops to be deployed to Gaza if it's necessary. What does that mean? When does it become necessary to send troops to Gaza, for U.S. troops to Gaza, right? When would that happen? But no troops for Ukraine.
That is so ridiculous. Even Lindsey Graham pushed back on it. But we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Because he's not exactly the known for his resistance to Donald Trump.
No. But if we're keeping a tally here, by the way, so who is it that we're wanting to go to war with now? So it's get military involved. Okay. So it's Canada, Mexico. You could just say South America in general, because we're trying to put tariffs on them, trying to send their
specifically Greenland and specifically Panama.
Yeah. Panama, Greenland, Canada, Mexico. Now we're going to go into Gaza, right? What's next? I mean, we're just.
But they voted for him because they're tired of these forever wars that we're not even fighting. And by the way, Joe Biden is the one that ended the war in Afghanistan, and they yelled. They're very, very angry about that.
Right. Well, they're angry about the way that didn't Trump get the agreement, and then he left it in shambles essentially, and that's why it didn't go as well as it did when Biden
what
had to do
this. Is they made this agreement a year out, okay? And what the Taliban did is they went around to all the different little towns and stuff, and they said, if you won't fight back, we won't kill you, right? And so they had a whole year to map this out. And so that's why all these towns just surrendered almost immediately.
Right.
And they had all this time to arrange all these deals. And then that was because of the the planning and timing of the Trump administration. So then when Biden followed through on the deal, and there was like there were like real legal reasons and international law reasons that they couldn't just move the date, right?
Right.
And so when Biden kept Trump's deal, that happened, and then it was all Biden's fault. So, and oh, the other thing they talk about is how we left all the, equipment behind.
Yeah.
Well, that equipment is equipment we gave to them. It wasn't our equipment to take back. And and we left it with them because they were supposed to be fighting back, but they didn't fight back because they had already surrendered before Biden even took office.
Right, exactly. Maybe you could answer this question for me because I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't really remember what the term is. But like, when was the last time the United States was like super acquisition, take over other people's territories? War or send troops to take over, different countries or regions. When was the last time we did that? Wasn't that like? When we actually did it, not when it was an idea like in 1946 where we did talk about taking over Greenland, but there is this mentality that America had back in the day.
Taking over Greenland. We made an offer to buy Greenland, and
right.
We didn't offer to trade Puerto Rico for Greenland, by the way.
No, but there was a time in the U.S. history where we were wanting to do military interventions and territorial acquisitions, but like that is not. I don't understand why we're going in that direction again. We are already a powerhouse of a nation. Why? Who is this? Who is this benefiting? That's what I want to know. Like, what is the reason on the back end, and who is benefiting from that? The move in that direction is what I want to know.
I think it's just Donald Trump's fascination with manifest destiny. I think he thinks the United States is destined to take over the entire world or something.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
World.
That was the word I was looking for.
The world.
He thinks he does already, right? So now it's just like, go out shopping for his next country to destroy, right? That's where we are. And so what does he have his eyes on now? Gaza, again, Canada, Greenland, Gaza, Panama. Which is crazy.
Can you imagine if Biden had talked about getting the U.S. military involved in the war in the Middle East?
It would be, there would be protests, day one that happens, as soon as it happens, it'd be, oh, this guy's crazy, right? This guy's insane. But where's the criticism from the Republicans on this, right? That is I really, some people are saying, I've heard some Republicans say, don't take him seriously. He's not being honest about this. This is just, talk, right? When there's other Republicans who are like, no, we absolutely want this to happen. And we 100% support sending military to Greenland and sending military to the Panama Canal. Marco Rubio was already there talking with their president saying, this is serious. We're going to take over if necessary. So it's not a joke. It's not.
As Jeremy points out, Trump used to have a hotel in Panama, and it failed, and he got bought out, and then he got chased out.
That wasn't
the whole thing, and
it's a crazy story.
Got physically removed, not Donald Trump himself, but like he was his people. Or
it was insane what happened.
Were physically removed from the Panama Canal or from his hotel there, and so there's something.
It was a hostile takeover.
A vendetta he has with Panama now.
Yeah, it was a hostile takeover with his hotel. I think they ended up putting people.
It was removed for corruption.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a bunch of scandals going on there. It was the Ocean Club International Hotel and Tower. So apparently there was just like a money laundering happening over there, and people were taking shelter there that were like convicts of crimes from other countries. They called it Narco-Lago. Narco-Lago, because it was like organized crimes and criminals and their businesses set up shop there, essentially. And also
So
we're meeting with the
he was basically a harboring cartels. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, pretty much. Exactly. And so yeah, I'm sure he has a vendetta with Panama because he failed there, right? He wasn't successful. And now he's like, y'all ousted me, and now I'm gonna come back and take what's mine because he thinks it's owed to him. So but yeah, so again, we're at war. We want to take over Greenland, Canada, Mexico, or not Mexico, we're at war. I don't think he wants to touch Mexico or take over it. He barely wants anything to do with Puerto Rico. So I think he's got some weird shit going on with his animosities with people from South America. Greenland, Panama, Gaza now. I mean, I'm waiting for him to be like, oh yeah, we'll actually just take over too, right? I mean, when is that going to happen? It should be happening soon. I would not put it past them. It's like, well, in order to end the war in Ukraine, we're going to have to just take over Ukraine too. So that's in our near future. But this Gaza shit is insane. I mean, where are the Republicans pushing back on this?
And like
this is bizarre.
Like Jeremy says, Representative Al Green has actually filed articles of impeachment over this, and it has, and people say, well, it has no chance of going through, and it has no chance of going through. But it's important we leave break.
Yeah, but do it.
Trail. Like we still need to mark that we resisted these things and we protested these things and we tried to do something about them. And a lot of the Democrats need to do something is kind of hard to say, like, what are Democrats supposed to do? But at least they can show that they tried to do something, and they got. And I really do wish that some of the anger directed at Democrats would actually be directed at Republicans. Yes, there might be
sure
Democrats that voted for Pam Bondi, but every single Republican did. So why aren't you mad at the Republicans that are voting for her? It's like, why is the only responsible governance supposed to be from Democrats? Why don't we make the Republicans responsible for their own failures?
Right. I agree.
More responsible for the Republicans' failures than we do the Republicans.
Right. Yeah. And I think, though, like even the anger directed at Republicans is valid, but I think our energy can be better spent trying to get back the seats that we lost this last election. I mean, we have a primary in 2 years.
Yes.
We could sit here, and we can file articles of impeachment. We can sit here and, play the blame game, rightfully blaming the Republicans for the situation that we find ourselves in. However, we're going to continue to find ourselves in these situations if we don't plan to take back the seats that we lost in the last election.
And we need to take the House back in 2026. And when we're infighting, when we're blaming, this is how we got here.
Right.
Is blame, is the infighting on if the Republicans can unite around the American Hitler, we can rally around not American Hitler. Just like, yes, that is fine right now. I am fine with that. I don't care if it's Chuck Schumer or whoever. Like, I would rather have Chuck Schumer in charge than Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that I'm a big fan of Chuck Schumer, that he's perfect or anything, but he is not a fascist.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I think that this whole idea of where we lost people last election with the pro-Palestine voters and the like. I am sorry, but this people want to argue or get upset about the voting for the lesser of two evils. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to vote for the lesser two evils when the evil is Hitler. Okay.
Yeah, and when it's not even like, it's not like the lesser of two evils implies both sides are evil.
Right, exactly.
It is evil versus imperfect. It's not.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a imperfect union, there's a more perfect union, and there's a perfect union. We're not gonna get to a perfect union if we're starting with an imperfect one, right? We got to get to a more perfect union, and that is voting for the side that isn't fucking Nazis. Okay, like, come on, people. And that's the thing. Okay, so now we have the new DNC chair, who is, we didn't get the guy that I wanted. I can't remember what his name was. Jeremy and I've talked about it before. The new DNC chair, it's Ken Martin. So he has a background in organizing for candidates. I really hope that they're going to do better this time with Ken Martin leading the Democratic National Convention, with getting the right messaging out, getting to the right people, and focusing on what's actually important and what are going to convince these people that we lost last time for, pro-Palestine voters. How are we going to get, because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with them. Are they going to continue this protest when it's right in front of their faces what happened because their protest vote? Look at what happened. The exact opposite of what they wanted to happen happened. So are they going to change course and come and help, support the Democratic Party that wants to reverse the actions that are currently happening with the current administration, right? That is what I hope happens, because if not, then we're fucked again. But again, just on the playing the blame game thing, yes, it's doing these articles of impeachment. Yes, it's important that we do these things. It's important that Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are putting in legislation to stop the steal, which is what they're calling it, which I find pretty funny, with what's happening with Elon Musk and his cronies, his little tech bro babies. That's all important. But right now, no matter what legislation they try to put forth, none of it's going to pass. It's not. Let's be real about it. It's not going to happen. So what we need to do is plan for what can happen in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
That is what I think the focus needs to be.
But at least putting in so it's better than not drafting legislation. You know what I'm saying? Like no,
I agree.
I think when there's infighting, Putin is happy, and if Putin is happy, we're not doing something right.
That's right. Yeah. No, and I agree. Some people, when they're doing these committee nominations in the Senate, they're talking. You've got legislators coming up and speaking on issues that they find important and things that they disagree with, and you've got people like, why are they wasting their time? It's like, no, it's important that it's on the record that this is what we're saying, because if it's not, then they have nothing to fall back on and say, here's my history on supporting or not supporting these certain issues. So yes, I agree. It is important that they continue to do that, but there has to be another side of it where we are focused on the future, because right now it is bleak if we continue with what we have currently.
And I think the courts, the courts are our only hope right now. And it's, even if we don't win, if we've learned anything from Trump, it's that you can slow things down and you can gum things up with the courts. And I think we should be, so there's Mark Elias is a hero, and we've got some people like that are really doing just a yeoman's work in these kinds of things. And that's our best chance right now to at least muddle things up and slow things down, is just to get court injunctions. And
flood the zone. But our version of flood the zone is not doing what the Trump administration does and his people do with chaos and nonsense. Just generally speaking over the airwaves, it's flood the courts, which thankfully, I don't think this is in our notes, which we could still touch on. You've got the people from the FBI that are filing class action lawsuits against the Trump administration. Currently, there's 2 different lawsuits that I saw yesterday and this morning, where they're talking about, one, the access to the PII of American people, the access to the illegal access to databases within these different organizations that Elon and his interns have taken over, and then also the firing of individuals, the illegal firing of individuals within the FBI because they did their job, right? Because they did the job that they were assigned to, which was to investigate be involved in the Trump investigations for those court cases. So that is what we need to be doing. this is
And
where
the irony of this whole thing is that the way the MAGAs act like the FBI is this big anti-Trump group. And it's like, if you know anybody in the FBI is very Republican, very conservative, very pro-MAGA. We have relatives that are in the FBI, and they are
Yeah.
just diehard Trump supporters. And it's like the idea that the FBI is like this corrupt organization, this corrupt anti-MAGA, anti-Trump, vendetta or something like that is insane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that since Hoover in 1924, all 8 FBI directors were Republicans.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
because no, they don't like the FBI because they went after their guy, but your guy was a criminal. The FBI isn't against Republicans. The FBI is against criminals. That is what their job is, right? So if that doesn't show you your guy is a criminal, I don't know what is, because I don't know the FBI that's going over people that aren't committing crimes, right? I mean, sure, there's probably some times back in history where there's been some questionable things, but you had Christopher Wray that was in charge of the FBI that Trump appointed him and put him there.
Yes.
And he still was like, you might have given me my job, but I'm going to follow the law and I'm going to prosecute people that break the law. And I'm sorry, Trump, that's you, man. Like, it is what it is. But again, that there's some lawsuits happening now. I think that our legislators and our representatives should be filing lawsuits and not only drafting legislation, right? Because again, yes, it's important to draft the legislation to show this is what we're supporting, this is what our our representatives are doing. But why aren't they also filing lawsuits? We need to be mucking them up in the courts. That I think is what
I
needs
think
to be
it's
happening.
a matter of to file a lawsuit, you have to have standing. And
Right.
there's no standing as a member of House of Representatives. There's actually I was looking into this, and in 2012 or 13, the House of Representatives tried to sue Obama for not doing certain things. That and it became this big muddled mess, like whether or not that can actually happen. And it was like a separation of powers thing, and then to get the court involved is to ask the court to be the arbitrator between the two. And so then it's like, no matter which way you go, there's this change in the balance of powers. And so it didn't
but can they not be involved with? Yeah, so I understand that. It's almost like you're trying to get legal changes to happen within 2 different branches of government, which it's like, that's what there shouldn't be like lawsuits happening. That's what legislation is for, right? But I do believe that there are ways. I mean, hell, if Elon Musk and his people, have a private server and it has my personal info, if they have my personal information, my social security number, my bank statement, my tax records, then we the people can file a class action lawsuit against these individuals. And then that is where I'm saying the Democrats should come in and support and assist in that.
So there they can do like amicus briefs and things like that,
right?
And that's why it comes back to people like Mark Elias or like ACLU or whatever. There are groups that can file these lawsuits, and I think they're trying to. But I think it's we can't say the Democrats need to be doing that. We because like the ACLU, as much as the Republicans would like you to think, the ACLU is not a Democrat organization. It is a organization for civil
liberties, right? Exactly.
And the Republicans have come to associate defending civil liberties with being a Democrat, which sort of tells you where they're at. But I think we do need to do things, but we also need to be careful in how we assess blame, and we need to be measured and we need to be strategic.
Sure.
I think we're playing we're playing, like it's a chess match, and you should be thinking 3 or 4 moves in advance. And if
Mhm.
we're blaming Democrats and more angry with Democrats and spending more of our time, spending more of our airtime yelling about what Democrats aren't doing, then we frustrate the vote, and then we end up, and if you frustrate the
Losing
vote,
people.
then you end up not winning the House back in 2026 or even the Senate. So I'm just saying we need to be calculated. We need to be smart.
Yeah, no, I agree. But again, as I said, and as we all know, the legislation that we want to put forth during this time period, these next 2 years, none of it's going to pass. It is important that it's happening, but if we're thinking steps ahead, the steps ahead are preparing for 2026, or for in 2 years for the primaries, and also what can we do to slow this shit down?
Yeah.
Right? What can we do? And that is where getting the courts involved is our best bet. That's pretty much the only place where we can rely on
The other thing we
something
can do,
happening.
I think there's 2 things that really we can do. One is to get the courts involved. The other thing is popular momentum. And if we can, there are some things we can do to agitate. I won't say the word. What was Chuck Schumer's horrible choice of words there? Anyway.
Oh God, which time?
Oh, he
Was
said
it?
something like excite, but it wasn't that. It was anyway. Oh, it's like it had this like weird sexual innuendo to it.
Oh Lord.
But anyway, it was like a weird choice of words, like that it got a lot of attention. But we do need to agitate
Mm.
voters.
Oh, aroused. People get aroused.
Aroused, yeah.
People need to
That
get
was the one.
aroused. Yeah.
We don't want
I'm
to
pretty sure he
arouse
turned
people.
off his social. Yeah. People were like, that is a turn off, actually. Definitely not feeling aroused at all.
But
No.
we need to like, there is the one thing that MAGA has done. The reason they've been able to do this is that there is a legitimate frustration from like Gen X and down to where we are not getting ahead the way that our parents did. We're not doing better than our parents' generation. And the reason for that is, trickle down economics and a number of other things. But the MAGA, even though it was the Republicans who caused this to happen, have managed to tap into the anger. And that anger is real, even though it's not justified at the Democrats. The anger itself is real. The frustration is real. And they've tapped into that. And we haven't tapped into it. Well, we need to tap into it and redirect it at the people that are responsible for it.
Right.
And when we talk about these things, we need to not just talk to Democrats. We need to talk to the American working class. And we need to like broaden it. Then when you do that, then you can start swinging the polls. And I think that when the polls start swinging, then it's like the Donald Trump starts losing his power over the Republicans in Congress and the Republicans in the Senate.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and I will say this too, even with the last election, there is a little bit of silver lining where, you saw on down ballot, you had Trump being elected as the president, but locally, people were voting down on the left on their local ballots. So I think that there is still, there was the issues with the incumbent. There were a lot of problems that people had with, Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party during the presidential election. However, there is some hope that can be seen where they still did. A lot of people still did vote down ballot democratically. And I think that we need to find out what caused those people to do that and take that momentum and use it over the next 2 years. Like you said, I mean, people are angry about a lot of things. And so the anger was happening at the top. And that's why a lot of people voted for Trump instead of the Democratic Party. But again, they still felt confident in their Democratic representatives on the local level. So we just need to marry those ideas together and figure out what is the issues and what are the things that people are are most concerned about, that we can actually address, right? And focusing, like you said, the Overton window, move the Overton window over to where that is instead of where it is currently with Trump and Nazism in general. But yeah, so again, and speaking to like of bills, there was one that was filed, I believe, this morning or yesterday. Representative Mark Pocan, he filed the Elon Musk Act, which is taking aim at his federal contracts, which great. This I don't believe is focused directly on his activities within the federal agencies that he's currently trying to infiltrate. However, they're targeting his ability to his contracts that he has with the federal government, which, by the way, if anybody doesn't see the irony in him saying cutting government spending, all the bureaucracy, all this money going to outside third parties and non-government contractors, it's him. He's talking about him. He's talking about everybody else but him. Like, he is the one who's getting all that money. Look at all of the money he gets for Tesla and SpaceX. It's insane. It's a deflection on everybody else. God, look at USAID, which is less than 1% of the budget. Okay, but don't look at the money that we're getting.
Interject something here.
Yeah.
Creativity in the naming of this act. Eliminate looting of our nation by mitigating unethical state kleptocracy Act. So the Elon Musk Act, he made Elon Musk.
He made it into an acronym
that actually describes perfectly what Elon Musk is.
Genius. Yeah. So banning special government employees like Musk from having federal contracts. And also, I guess maybe I'm not as educated in regards to what that entails, or what the restrictions or the abilities are for somebody that is has a special government contract, like Musk, they're saying currently has, because they reporters asked Carolyn Levitt yesterday, I believe, what if Elon or any of his employees from Doge had security clearance, if they had passed a background check, if they had, sworn an oath to the Constitution, to follow the Constitution. Are those things requirements to be a special government employee, as they're saying Musk is? I'm concerned about that. Plus it's like, because he has federal contracts with the government, why is he, who's to say he's not going to go and make changes to any of these departments or any of the where the money goes that doesn't benefit him directly? So like, oh God, Blue, what is it? What's Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin? Is that what it is? His space.
I don't know.
Well, so what if Jeff Bezos's company gets a contract or wins a Blue Origin? Yeah, it is Blue Origin. I was like, wasn't sure. What if he wins a contract over SpaceX? Elon doesn't like that. Of course he doesn't, because it means he lost and he didn't get the contract. So what's he going to do? How can we ensure that he's not going to go in and make changes to where he always gets the contracts because it benefits him directly? Yeah. So this is a great opportunity for this bill to stop that kind of thing, whether it's
you're talking about handing over the unilateral authority, like Elon Musk, if you is sitting there, he's cutting out, he wants to cut SNAP benefits and stuff or whatever. And he has gotten over $20 billion from the US government himself. He has gotten more money from the government than any person in history.
Right.
And he wants to complain about somebody else getting money, or, like, especially he's the DEI people getting money. It's like, sorry, you don't get to complain.
No, and I think it's so funny. Like, he's posted stuff on Twitter talking about we want to end the bureaucracy and have a democracy, and we don't want elected officials or non-elected officials to be running our government. And it's like, dude, what are you, man?
Exactly.
Who are you?
And Stephen Miller saying the same stupid thing. It's like, okay, you're not nobody voted for you.
Nobody voted for you. And it, however, some of these supporters of his say, well, he has been around for the campaign and, he's been a staple part of the campaign since the beginning. And it's like, that doesn't mean that we voted for him. We just like Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or Pete Hegseth, we didn't vote for them either.
And where was part of the Trump campaign that Elon Musk would get my social security number?
Right, exactly.
Would we have voted for Trump if we knew that he would be giving Musk this power? People say, oh, Trump won, but Trump is not doing what he ran on. He ran on, I don't know what Project 2025 is. He did not run on, I'm going to, accomplish Project 2025 within months.
No, he ran on, I'm going to lower the cost of eggs and bacon, yes. Right? I'm going to lower the cost of eggs and bacon. Guess what? He hasn't even touched on any of the cost of living promises that he made, which I find hilarious because Carolyn Levitt's always like, promises made, promises kept. And I'm like, yeah, but promises too, though, not to the American people. These promises that he made weren't promises that he made to the American people. And these promises that he's keeping are the promises he made to his billionaire buddies and the richest men in the world, that he was going to do these things to benefit them, not the American people. Prices are going up. Where's the executive orders that has promised everybody he's going to sign and the adjustments he's going to make to the cost of living? And it's like 2 weeks in, he hasn't even mentioned it. It's like, what, and also the people on the right are like, oh, well, first it was like, oh, it's Biden's fault. The price of eggs are so expensive. Now it's like, now MAGAs are all like, well, it's really a complex
I need to step out for a minute here. Can you just go ahead? I'm going to disappear for a minute.
No worries. But I think it's insanity how, everybody railed on the fact that eggs were so expensive. And now that the price is increasing and Trump is in office, it's a complex issue. The president can't really actually handle or make changes to the price of goods in the market because that's not their role. They aren't able to control the market. But that's what he promised during his campaign that he was going to. If you guys remember, he stood out for a press conference, which was pretty much a rally for him, with all the food products like cereal, packs of bacon and eggs. I think that's the first time Trump has actually seen a cereal box in 30 years. I'm telling you right now, he has not stepped foot into a kitchen in 30 years at least, if not more time than that. But it's ridiculous that he's not making any changes there. What he's done is he's put people in place like Elon Musk who now have control over our personally identifiable information. They have access to trillions of dollars of money, federal money that go to things like Head Start, that go to things that help people with disabilities, that go to help public schools. Make it make sense. I need somebody to make it make sense to me. Where is the outrage from the right where these promises made, promises kept have failed to come to fruition because, all the railing about the price of eggs and the cost of living and the price of gas has been just pretty much swept under the rug at this point, which I don't know. I guess it's par for the course for the Republicans. But back to Musk. Okay, I just want to make a comment in regards to the fact that he is breaking the law with bringing in these private servers that have not passed security clearance or whatever it is that there's certain laws and regulations that are like tests that, like, let's say you want to bring in a new messaging platform into the federal government, it has to go through rigorous testing or, has to pass certain codes to be able to be approved to be used because of all the sensitive information that it passes through those databases or those platforms. So, I think that it was today or yesterday, they told Doge employees are being told to not use Slack because it is because it can be used to hold on, where is it here? It says that the employees working for Doge have been ordered to stop using Slack while government lawyers attempt to transition the agency to one platform that is not subject to the Freedom of Information Act. So they don't want people to know what they're talking about over sex, because if somebody wants to file an opportunity to get that information from their Slack notifications or their Slack messages, they can use the Freedom of Information Act to gather that information. And so they sent out an email to the Doge employees this morning that said, "Good morning, everybody. As a reminder, please refrain from using Slack at the moment while our various general counsels figure out the best way to handle the records management to our new Executive Office of the President component. We'll update as soon as we have more information." So they're trying to stop communications because they're probably talking about all the illegal shit that they're doing with Doge and everything that they're doing with these other programs that they have tried to hijack at this point. So just so you know, Kelly, I was talking about the issues where everybody was talking about cost of living. Trump hasn't done anything. And now, what is happening now with Elon and his taking over of these different departments, and just getting into, I guess, more of our fourth topic on our outline here, where he's, what's Doge doing right now? What is happening in regards to his collision course into the federal government and its takeover with his, government special committee?
I'm just wondering at what point the Republicans in Congress realize they're actually handing over the power of Congress to this private individual, and when they're going to start pushing back on that.
Well, okay, so there have been, again, this is like the level of concern for Susan Collins, if you've ever seen the meter, right?
Yes. It ranges from I'm not going to do anything to I might start thinking about doing something, but I'm not actually.
I don't like this. Yeah, exactly. So Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska said she's got questions whether or not Trump even has the authorization to give Musk the power that he's given him to override Congress's funding directives, right? So she's saying,
there's no question about that at all. President Trump himself doesn't have the power to do what Musk is doing.
Right. There is no authorization there. The authorization falls within Congress. That's it.
Yeah.
So there's a Republican, which again, Lisa Murkowski is somewhat level-headed, but I mean, that's like saying Susan Collins is somewhat level-headed. She said that, she's just said that senior administration officials need to notify Congress in advance before shuttering or reorganizing federal agencies, and said that whether Musk had the authority to shut down the U.S. aid is a very legitimate question. So she's like, here's where we are right now with Susan Collins is, I have questions. That's where we are right now for the
It's not even a question,
Collins.
though. He absolutely does not. He is not. The president of the United States does not have the authority to do what Elon Musk is doing.
No.
He does not have, since he does not have the authority to do it himself, he does not have the authority to grant somebody else that authority. Right. And even if he were to make some kind of, Musk is not a cabinet member. He's not been voted on by the Senate. He's not been approved to do anything at all. He's just a rich dude. That's all he is. He's just a rich dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he has no authority to do anything at all.
Yeah. I will say that it's funny because you've got people that are supportive of Trump, but they are able to use Elon Musk as a scapegoat to defy Trump's decisions in a certain way in this, because Tom Tillis, who's a Trump supporter, from North Carolina, he said that, with the federal agency, shutting down federal agencies like USAID would violate the Constitution, right? He's a Republican saying that.
It does violate the Constitution. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. He said, it would be helpful for Trump or Musk to get approval from Congress before ordering these changes. It's like, helpful? No, legal. That's the legal way to do it. It's illegal to do it any other way.
Legal, constitutional.
Right.
The Constitution makes the Constitution says that Congress determines how we spend our money, and then the executive branch enforces the laws. The Congress, the legislative branch writes the laws, and the judicial branch reviews the laws. That's the separation of powers laid forth in the Constitution. And this is like the fundamental, it's not just a role of Congress. This is the fundamental role of Congress. The power of purse is the most essential, fundamental role of Congress. And you're talking about Stephen Miller goes on and talks about how the president can assume this authority. And then he says that somebody says, well, what if the courts overrule it? And he's like, the president determines whether it's constitutional or not. So he wants to give the president, Trump, the role that Congress is assigned in the Constitution, and the role that the judicial branch is assigned in the Constitution. He wants to make Donald Trump a dictator because Donald Trump is actually just a bloviating old fool who signs papers that Stephen Miller writes. Stephen Miller is actually the real power behind it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's been curating his chaotic mentality since high school, right? I don't know if you've done any research on Stephen Miller, but he is crafted this trait of his for a very long time. So he's not an idiot. He's very intelligent in regard, and he knows what he's
angry that little Latino girl shoved him in a locker, and I can kind of understand that because it only happened a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, right, exactly. He just got out. I
mean,
just the other day. No, but yeah, exactly. As you said, Trump is just an idiot who sits there and he's got some guy standing at his desk and he's like, here, Mr. President, here's this. He's like, oh, well, take the cap off the pen. I'm already signing it while he's putting his signature on the line. He's saying, oh, what's this one? What's this one? He doesn't even know what he's signing, but Stephen Miller does. And you are right. And you know who else we have to thank for them wanting Trump to be a dictator? The Supreme Court. We also have them to thank for this, where we find ourselves as well. But you are right. The reason that the founding fathers set things up the way they did is so that separations of power and everybody stays in, their checks and balances, right? Which they're saying are roadblocks. They're saying that these checks and balances are roadblocks and that Trump should just be able to do whatever he wants and as he pleases. However, I will say that surprisingly, you do have Republicans who are concerned about this. And one of the bigger concerns that they have is that, especially with the United States USA Department, they're saying that closing that foreign assistance agency is going to undermine our diplomatic efforts that, where we leave, China takes over, right? They're going to fill the void that where we, if we're no longer providing foreign assistance to some of these places and having those diplomatic relationships, then China is going to try to gain influence by building on whatever the pieces we leave behind. And they fill that gap that we're leaving behind by pulling out that foreign aid.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So we're but America first, right? We want to.
No. America first, Gaza.
We want to go back to where it's just we're just America and we're totally in. I mean, if you start thinking about what the goals are here, it's like my brain just cramps with the stupidity of it all. Like I am not capable of shoving my head that far up my butt. Like I don't know how they do it, but like to try to go back to 1890 is what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, which again, I think that there's Republicans who are also not okay with that, right?
But they're not okay with that, but they're also not okay with losing power, even though they're handing over their power. They want to keep their seat, but they don't want to keep their power.
Yeah, they're afraid that they're going to get primaried, so they're willing to sell their soul and get rid of all of their morals to do Trump's biddings and to not bash him because as they've already said. I mean, hell, look at what's happened in Tennessee right now. They're passing a law that says it will be illegal for any legislators in the state to be able to vote against Trump's immigration policies. It will be illegal. It will be illegal for them to do that.
For who?
What is the I'm trying to remember what the article is that I think So in the state legislation, let me pull it up really quick. It's illegal for them to vote against. They're trying to pass a law in state Congress that says it's illegal to vote against Trump's immigration policies
For anybody?
For representatives too. So the Tennessee bill that would prohibit voting against Trump's immigration policies in the state of Tennessee. So Tennessee state senators said,
even, like, what is the point of a vote?
Right, exactly. Well, this is how fucked up the state of Tennessee is. Okay, we're everybody wants to say shit about Florida and say shit about Texas. Tennessee takes it.
Tennessee is right there with Texas and Florida.
Yes, yeah. It said that even if they believe that the policies would be unconstitutional, they're telling them that the state legislators approved a bill on Tuesday that would make it illegal for lawmakers to vote for policies perceived as opposing President Trump's agenda, namely sanctuary procedures. The bill includes provisions for a state-based immigration enforcement agency, which passed through the state Senate, and then it went back to the House for approval, and then it's going to hit Bill Lee's desk. But what they're saying is it will be illegal for them to vote against the policies. It makes it a Class E felony for anybody to go against what these policies are, which just it's crazy. They could put them in prison for 1 to 6 years if they oppose these policy changes. That is totalitarianism if I've ever heard of it.
They're not Nazis. It's a felony to disagree with them, but they're not Nazis.
No. Yeah, no, of course not. What?
I'm sorry. It's a felony to disagree with Trump, but they're not Nazis.
Yeah, right. No. Not our fearless leader, right? Good God Almighty. Yeah, so Republicans are willing to strip themselves of their moral compass to ensure that they aren't primaried. However, like I said, they're able to use Musk currently as a scapegoat because they're not directly saying what Trump is doing is wrong, but Trump is allowing for it to happen, and Elon is acting on behalf of Trump, by doing the things that he's doing, with the in regards to things in the U.S. aid department, which again, like I said, so the Republicans are concerned about China, not the fact that what he's doing is just illegal in general and unconstitutional. They're like, oh, well, what about China? Like, yeah, that is a concern, but like, let's start at high level shit. It's illegal what they're doing. It's illegal. Yeah. It's unconstitutional. So like, let's start there, guys, first, because that's what you do. You make laws. Let's talk about the law part first, because that's your job.
I wish they and MAGAs would think beyond Trump. Trump is not going to live forever. Even if he doesn't, as some people anticipate, actually voluntarily give up power in 2028 or in 2029, I should say. Yeah. If he does not voluntarily give up power, there's going to be somebody president after that. And that person is going to have the same powers that he is advocating, or that they're giving him right now. So, imagine, Adam Schiff. How would they react if Adam Schiff had the exact same power Donald Trump does right now? Do you think
they would lose their ever-loving mind?
They would not be able to find their mind. It would be so lost.
Yeah. It's crazy. One last thing I want to touch on too, before I know we're getting close to showtime, the curtain. The last thing I really wanted to touch on was Iran, right? I don't know if you watched Trump talking about Iran yesterday and how he's blaming them for the assassination attempts upon him, saying that, giving his advisors instructions to obliterate Iran for if they attempt to assassinate him again. First of all, is there proof that it was Iran who instructed was involved in the assassination attempts, either one of them, on his life?
I don't think there's any. I haven't even heard anything about that until you just said those words. Like,
yeah, I did not hear that. It says that a threat on Trump's life from Iran prompted additional security in the days before July campaign rally in Pennsylvania, where he was shot in the ear. That's a lie. He wasn't shot in the ear. Anyways, they're not saying that Iran was connected to the assassination attempt. There was a threat on his life from Iran, but that was not associated with what happened in Pennsylvania. Whatever you want to say happened in Pennsylvania,
No. If you even, it says a threat on
have
Trump's
anything to do
life
with Iran.
from Iran prompted additional security in the days before a July campaign rally in Pennsylvania, where Trump was fake shot in the ear, according to U.S. officials. But the officials at the same time said they did not believe Iran was connected to the assassination attempt.
Right. Exactly. So, and Iran, of course, is dismissing any of the allegations. But what is happening now is Trump is saying that if there's another assassination attempt on his life, that we're going to obliterate Iran, which by the way, I guess would be good for John Bolton, right? Who he revoked government protections for. Well, not even just John Bolton, but Brian Hook, as well as Mike Pompeo. I guess if he takes care of Iran, that is a win for those individuals who had their national security protections taken away. But
man, I forgot all about Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, this whole Iran is trying to. Yeah. So, where this is coming from, I'm not entirely certain. I mean, I believe that these statements were made when because of Netanyahu visiting the White House. But so there's a fact sheet on the whitehouse.gov website saying President Donald J. Trump restores maximum pressures on Iran. However, now he says he does want to go attempt another nuclear deal with Iran. That is something that he was vehemently opposed to. He ended the deal when he became president last time.
Mm-hmm.
But we also know that Iran is anti-Israel. So I believe that this was all put out as a show of support for Netanyahu.
He'll probably end up negotiating a worse deal than Obama had, and then he will run victory laps around it the same way he did around
worse.
every
It'll
other
be
deal he makes, where it's like, oh yeah, look, this is terrible, and then actually, you know what? I got to mention this. So I made a joke a few days ago.
Yeah.
About the UMCA, whatever it was, the USMCA, right? United States Mexico Canada agreement.
Yeah.
And I was joking on Blue Sky. I was like, Donald Trump wants to know what idiot came up with this deal, right? It calls whoever came up with this deal an idiot. Right? And it was just a joke. It was just a joke. But everybody believed it because it was totally something he would say, right?
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, he says, who comes up with these things anyway? Like he literally insulted his own deal. He insulted his own deal.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the thing too, which is what I think what you're getting at is what I'm thinking as well, which is if he's trying to do another nuclear deal with Iran, what he's going to do is he's probably not going to know this even, because it doesn't sound like he knew anything about the deals that were done with Biden with Mexico and Canada, which is essentially what he did, but worse, right? He didn't get as good of a deal.
Yeah.
It's almost like, he renegotiated the deal that Biden had gotten agreement with the two countries and just, got a worse deal out of it. The art of the deal, the fart of the deal, as we said yesterday. But I think what's going to happen is he's going to cheat off of, or maybe his team is going to put forth a deal with Iran that is similar to something that Obama did, but downgraded, right? It's going to be worse. It's not going to be better than what was done.
Oh yeah,
it might be similar because they have no new ideas. He's like looking over. It's like when you're taking a test and he's looking over at what Obama had did, and he's gonna say, "Oh yeah, I did this," because they're gonna agree to it because they agreed to it before, right?
Nobody can run victory laps around an L like Donald Trump. I mean,
yeah, he's good at that one. Absolutely. But yeah, so that is those are kind of the main topics I wanted to talk about today. I can tell you right now, as soon as we sign off here, I will have plenty of other things for us to talk about tomorrow.
Oh,
And I'm
there's
sure there's a
probably
lot that's
3 things
happened in
that
the
have
last
come
few
up
hours.
while we were broadcasting.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, it's like it's like I call it the fire hose of stupid. It just never stops spraying.
Yeah. There is, so if we want to end on a good note, there's still there's judges out here who are blocking the restriction of birthright citizenship, which thank God to these courts that are doing these things and stopping him for now. Right. So thank God that that's happening. I believe there was also a judge blocked his push to ban transgender individuals from being sent to the correct jails for their he wanted to ban them from being sent to whatever the gender that they represent, but only send them the one that they were born with or assigned at birth. And a judge did block that. I believe I read this morning as well. So again, if we can see where anything is good that's happening or movement towards stopping what Trump is doing, it's the courts that are doing it. And I think that's all eyes need to be there, and that's where a lot of our energy needs to be directed, because we're seeing most success there so far. So let's take a note from that moving forward.
That and if you have any money to donate to the legal firms that are fighting these cases, or that's I think something else is, I don't know where they're getting their funding from, but I imagine that it does cost money. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, we can look at some stuff about that, and I'll post some links to where people can get involved and donate in our Discord. So, which, by the way, guys, don't forget, we have a Discord channel. Kelly, we can add it in the show notes on YouTube. We'll post some stuff on Blue Sky as well. Where you
it's
guys
already there.
It's already there. Okay, awesome. So yeah, don't forget to follow us on Blue Sky. Join us with the conversations on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. The more followers that we have, the more viewers we have on YouTube, the closer we get to being able to, I don't know, make this a full-time thing all the time, and we can actually, look at making this making some money and making a difference here. Of course, we've got our Substack. Kelly, you're coming out with a whiteboard here soon, or did you already?
I'm working on a DEI whiteboard. Like, what is DEI? Where did it come from? What does it actually mean? How is it being misapplied? The term. It actually, the more I look into it, if I can just give a brief summary, is DEI is they use DEI as something opposite of meritocracy. Right. But DEI actually is meritocracy. And so, like, if you have the way they make it sound is like, okay, you only look at Black people for a job, and so then you predetermine you're going to hire a Black person, which is actually that is like affirmative action was more of a quota system, and like trying to and it was to alleviate an imbalance. DEI is not the same thing. DEI is like, you look and so you look at pilots, for instance, and you say, okay, 94% of our pilots are white males. So you start and we don't have enough pilots. So you start trying to recruit more pilots. So what you do is you expand your pool.
Right.
And so you start like where you start fishing in HBCUs and things like that, and you start trying to look at you start recruiting women and minorities and other people other than white males. That does not mean you stop recruiting white males or you only are hiring those other.
No, you're already doing it, though.
So
you're not stopping it.
There's two fallacies that are involved. One is that there's only like one job to fill, and you're looking for the best person to fill that job. So they'll say, oh, just hire the best person for the job. And it's like, no, it's not always one job. It's usually like hundreds of jobs that you're trying to fill, right? And so
Right.
your pool goes from hundreds of people to thousands of people. So now out of thousands of people, you're trying to find the 100 best people. All right, versus out of hundreds of people, you're trying to find the 100 best people.
Right.
So you're actually expanding your pool and including Black people in your recruiting. If Black people get the job, it doesn't mean that they were less qualified. It means that they were more qualified than some of the white people that would have gotten the job. And that does not, like that is what a DEI hire is. A DEI hire is finding other people that are qualified to do the job, and sometimes even more qualified to do the job. So it is a merit.
Right. It's just that they weren't considered. They weren't being considered before. That was why it has come into play in the first place. Why the practices were enacted and used.
Exactly.
But
and now that they're being considered, they're able to prove that they have actually more merit. And I was just saying, like the Tuskegee Airmen.
Right.
It's like Black people weren't allowed to fly. As soon as Black people were allowed to fly, they're
best. Like, holy shit. Yeah. Right.
Like, was that a meritocracy? Or was that, like they were the Tuskegee Airmen were DEI hires?
Yeah.
In the way that it's meant to be said.
Right. Exactly. Well, I look forward to watching that whiteboard when it's done. I'm sure you'll post about it on Blue Sky whenever it's ready for everybody to view. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's how I'd end it. We'll be back tomorrow with more news and chaos and craziness, and sure it'll be crazier tomorrow than it was today.
New material.
There is no shortage of shit to talk about. But yeah, and also, I know we've prior we've had special guests. Kelly, I'll reach out to you after the show here because there is one specific person who's reached out to me about a guest that I would like for us to have on the show, but I will not be saying it on the show yet until I can confirm it. So, but you guys be on the lookout for any announcements on the show. Again, you'll see them on Blue Sky. Kelly, I think you're still posting on Twitter too. And then of course on our Discord, we'll put some information out when it is, when we have any new announcements on the show. But yeah, that's all I've got.
That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Thanks.
See you later.
Bye. Guys, see you next time.